This meeting to order, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Stepek, would you please take attendance?
Yes. President Reese.
Here.
Vice President Mitchell.
Here.
Treasurer D'Alessandro. Here. Secretary Stepek here. Trustee Brazington.
Here.
Trustee Schwag.
Here.
Trustee Shoemaker.
Here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This feedback. Check your volumes. We have the election of officers for the 2016 year, and as we discussed at the last meeting, you can nominate people for each position. I think we'll just start with president and work our way down. You can nominate yourself. If you want to give a short talk about why you think you should hold a certain office, feel free to do that. I will say that I don't wish to be nominated for any position, and I would like to just be a trustee this time around. So keep that in mind as we move along. Mr. Schwag.
I'll start. Yeah, I'd like to run for trustee also. So,
All those in favor?
And I would like to be that third trustee. I recommend we roll the dice for the.
All right, so up at the top of the list here, President, if we have someone that would like to make nominations or you want to nominate yourself, go for it.
May I speak?
Yes, you may, Mr. Stepek.
I would like to nominate Dan D'Alessandro for president.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to nominate someone for the presidential position? Mr. Schwag.
yes, I'd like to nominate Kim Schumacher.
Thank you, Mr. Schwag.
Do
Mr. D'Alessandro.
do we need to get support for both of those?
Yeah, we
Okay.
do.
Mhm.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much. Do I have support for the first nomination? Mrs. Mitchell supported Dan D'Alessandro. And do I get support for Mrs. Shoemaker?
I'll support Kim.
All right, so supported on that motion. Okay, so now if you'd like to give a campaign speech or whatever you'd like to
Since
say.
I wasn't here that last one, I'll let.
And we'll take a roll call vote, I believe is what we decided the last time and changed our policy so that we're not doing both.
I think I was instrumental in that change.
Parliamentarian, yes, you were. Pat yourself on the back,
It's gonna
please.
be a long year. Okay.
Do you want to say anything?
No.
Yeah, I'd just like to say why I nominated Kim. She's got a lot of experience. She's taken all the classes that they've have, or pretty near all of them. She's the person that we've, on the board here, over my year that I've been here, that we ask to make any motions, serve on every committee that we have, and I think she's exhibited the expertise in terms of knowledge and leadership in terms of the school board. So that's why I nominated her.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak before we take a roll call vote on Mr. D'Alessandro?
I'll say something, I don't know if it's on my behalf or what, but I would like to just say that I think that, just as Mike said, Kim is very qualified, and my whole thought of being president of this board would be two things. Number one, I think we were here a year ago, and our job as the board is to do one thing. That's to hire the superintendent. And even though we had a difference of opinion on the process, I think we were here a year ago, and I was pretty adamant in my belief in our superintendent and who that should be. And just because we disagreed with it, that was okay. I feel as though, and the second thing is I feel as though that even though somebody has a different opinion, I'm willing to listen. And I'm not so stubborn to say, you know what, this is what I believe and this is the way we're going to do it. not that that's been that way in the past, but I think that that's something that should be thought of.
Thank you very much, Mr. D'Alessandro.
I would just like to make one comment on
Mr.
my
Stefan.
nomination. Thank you, sir. I just would like to say that I nominated Dan because of his passion for the school district. I think anybody that knows Dan, not to say that Kim doesn't, she does as well, but I really see it in Dan. He really, really cares. Seeing him in the middle of the week during football season out there driving a tractor back and forth across the turf to get it ready for the football game. Just one example, but just things that he really cares about this school district, and I think that to be in the position of president, to be as caring and as passionate as he is, that's going to be an important trait.
Thank you. I'd like to echo what Dan said. Over the past year, we've had some great times. We've had some real serious disagreements. I've had them with probably all the board members here. And it's just been my honor to serve for the past year. And I'm ready to hand it over, but it's been a good year through all that we've been through. So I'll leave it at that. And if we want to just take a roll call, Mr. D'Alessandro first.
Secretary Stefik, yes. Vice President Mitchell,
Yes.
President Reese,
Yes.
Treasurer D'Alessandro,
Yes.
Trustee Brazington,
No.
Trustee Schwag,
No.
Trustee Shoemaker.
Yes.
5-2.
Thank you very much. Mr. D'Alessandro, I'm going to hand you the gavel.
You're not going to finish?
No.
Take your name tag.
Let's go. I get a computer. There you go. So you take that, take this, take your envelope. Be careful of that gavel.
This is a little odd. Do we have any nominations for vice president? Carol?
I move that Mark Stefik be nominated for the position of Vice President for the 2016 calendar year.
Support. Anybody?
I support.
Anybody else with a nomination?
I'd like to recommend Kim Shaker be nominated for vice president.
Any support? Mr. Schweig? And roll call vote, Mr.
Discussion.
Discussion, I'm sorry.
I guess I nominated Kim just based on her years of experience here with the board and all the classes that she's taken and the level of expertise she's gained, and just her experience working in different subcommittees.
I nominated Mark because he is very dedicated to furthering the education concerning the board. He's already completed his step one, which is pretty impressive in 1 year. And I like the fact that we have a legal eagle that can advise you. There's been times during this year that we've needed that. I think he would be a good one to advise.
Roll call vote.
Which one are we going to do?
Let's do Mark's step first.
Okay.
Excuse me, I think parliamentary procedures should be in the order that the people
I
nominated,
agree.
not to make a correction. to this.
Nope,
I
According
understand.
to parliamentary procedures.
I've had this for 15 minutes, so I
Okay, so we'll do Kim first. Okay.
No.
Kim.
Mark was first.
Mark.
Oh, I was?
Mark was nominated
Yes.
first, yeah.
No.
Yes, I did it.
I spoke first on and then.
Yeah.
She-
No, that was.
No.
What do we have?
No, in my notes, which I was typing the whole time, Carol moved, Mark supported. Wait a minute.
Jim supported.
Jim supported, I'm sorry. Carol moved and Jim supported that Mark be nominated. And then the next motion was Joyce and Mike supported.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying.
Okay.
So,
Well, then this is for
Mark.
Mark. So then, roll call vote, start with Vice President Mitchell.
Yes.
Trustee Reese.
Yes.
President D'Alessandro.
No.
Secretary Stepik, yes. Trustee Brazington.
No.
Trustee Schwag.
No.
Trustee Shoemaker.
No.
Okay. It's 4-3 for no.
You want a roll call vote on?
On Kim, yes. Trustee Brazington.
Yes.
Trustee Schwag.
Yes.
Trustee Reese.
No.
Vice President Mitchell.
No.
President D'Alessandro.
Yes.
Secretary Stepik, no. 4-3, yes.
I don't think I.
You didn't answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Shoemaker, yes.
Yes,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I vote yes, thank you.
My page is getting a little messy here.
Here, I'll switch with you now.
Coming down with the commoners.
Okay. Do we have any nominations for the position of secretary?
I would like to nominate Mr. Stepik for the position of secretary.
I'll support.
Nomination of Mark Stepik by trustee Reese and supported by trustee Schwag. Any discussion? Any other nomination?
Actually, I would like to do discussion, sorry.
Okay.
I'm actually very highly supportive of him for secretary, and my reason for that is because he has shown a demonstrated commitment to the classes and learning more about board membership, and that's just something that I highly value. And I've also seen, even when Mark maybe have a particular personal stance on something, he really listens, and I've seen him demonstrate the ability to come to consensus, and that's just something, Mark, that I want you to know that I really value in you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further nominations for secretary? Roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Trustee Schwag.
Yes.
President Alessandro.
Yes.
Vice President Shoemaker.
Yes.
Secretary Stepik, yes. Trustee Brazington
Yes.
and Trustee Shoemaker, or Vice President Shoemaker.
No, you mentioned.
Or Mitchell, I'm sorry, or Trustee Mitchell, that's the one I missed.
Yes.
My page is getting messy here. Sorry. All right, 7-0.
Okay, any nominations for the position of treasurer? Mrs. Mitchell?
I would like to nominate Mike Schwag. I know you want to be a trustee, but with this being my last year, I'd sort of like to fade out into a trustee, and I think it would be important for him to take on a role as an officer.
I'll second that.
Okay. Nomination by, gotta change those nameplates. I looked down there and almost called you Kim Shoemaker. By Mrs. Mitchell and seconded by Secretary Stepik. Okay. Any discussion?
I think again, just somebody talked about passion, and Mike has a ton of passion for our district and for the way we do things, and I think finances is something that you have delved into, and I feel like you have a good handle on it and understanding of those. I think you're doing a great job.
Well, I really did not, well, I did want to be a trustee. I look forward to that, but I would certainly be willing to serve as a treasurer.
Roll call vote, please.
Who nominated? Carol? Okay. Trustee Mitchell.
Yes.
Secretary Stepik, yes. Trustee Reese.
Yes.
President Alessandro.
Yes.
Trustee Brazington.
Yes.
Trustee Schwag.
Yes.
Vice President Shoemaker.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, that brings us to board spokesperson. We have a nomination for the board. Now, just to clarify, this can be an officer, correct? Any nominations?
Nominate Mr. Stepik, board spokesperson.
Support?
Support.
Mrs. Mitchell, support. Any other nominations? Discussion? The vote.
I didn't hear, was it Reese?
Yes.
Nominated? Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell.
Yes.
President Alessandro.
Yes.
Vice President Shoemaker.
Yes.
Secretary Stepik, yes. Treasurer Schwag.
Yes.
Trustee Brazington.
Yes.
7-0. Okay, and last but not least is board parliamentarian. For your social studies teachers, Kurt, did I pronounce that and say that right? Nomination?
I would like to nominate Treasurer Schwag to continue in that position.
Support.
Any further nominations? Discussion?
I'd just like to say that I think I've learned a lot over my tenure as board parliamentarian this year, and looking to continue that.
A roll call vote, please.
Secretary Stepik, yes. Who seconded?
I did, yes.
Trustee Reese,
Yes.
President Alessandro.
Yes.
Vice President Shoemaker,
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell,
Yes.
Treasurer Schwag,
Yes.
Trustee Brazington.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? Okay, 7-0.
Okay, so now that we have that down, go to item number 3, bank depositories, signatures for bank accounts. Is that on?
I move that all general fund and debt retirement checks for the 2016 calendar year be listed and approved by the board. They will be signed by using the signature plate engraved with the names of Tim Throne and Mike Schweig.
I support.
Mr. Reese. Discussion? And this is a roll call vote as well, correct?
Okay, Trustee Mitchell?
I did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Trustee Brazington, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Trustee Reese,
Yes.
President D'Alessandro,
Yes.
Vice President Shoemaker,
Yes.
Secretary Stepik, yes. Treasurer Schwag,
Yes.
and I said Secretary Stepik, yes, sorry.
Okay,
7-0.
and then we have another item B.
I move that all payroll, internal accounting, and school lunch checks be signed for the 2016 calendar year by using the signature plate engraved with the names Tim Throne and Mike Schweig.
Support, Carol.
Support.
Discussion? Vote.
Okay, another roll call? Okay. Trustee Brazington,
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell,
Yes.
President D'Alessandro,
Yes.
Vice President Shoemaker,
Yes.
Treasurer Schwag,
Yes.
Secretary Stepik, yes. Trustee Reese,
Yes.
7-0. Okay, we have an item for board committees, for the Educational Policy Committee. Do we have any nominations for those two? There's 2 positions. Do we do them individually, or, so does anybody have a nomination for the Educational Policy Committee?
I'd like to nominate Joyce. I don't know if it's something you feel like you have time for, but it's one of the things I appreciate about you. You know so much about school things. You've been at multiple levels in our district, so I would like to nominate Joyce.
I would support that.
The way it's written, it looks like it's both to me, and we just, I don't know that we need a roll call. for this,
Okay.
but,
And we need another.
I would nominate Treasurer Schwag to be on that committee.
Support.
Any discussion? And then vote.
Roll call or?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Say nay. Motion carries.
I'll read the motion. Move to appoint Joyce Brazington and Mike Schwag to the Board of Education Policy Committee.
Support.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Changes to the board agenda? No changes. Item 6, consent agenda. Mr. Schweig?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. Mrs. Mitchell?
Support.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Prearranged requests to address the board.
Good evening. Thanks for having me again. I'm sure I look a little different. I ate a big dinner. No, I'm kidding. I'm doing 4 weeks. It's so good to be here. We have a very special visit coming up at OES. And those of you who received that card in front of your name tag, I just want to thank you. This is to help prepare us for the visit, but also to give you some background knowledge in regards to the visit that's coming up. You got to see some parent feedback and reflections as well as student. And this time it's our teacher reflections. Now every teacher did participate in this, as well as our administrator and myself. That it was about 25 minutes. And I was told to try to keep it to 5. And I compromised and it's 10. So I hope you enjoy it. It really gives just a good overview of what IB means to us as a school and as a district. I also support on all of our schools through this process, and DA is now going through the process as well, but we are going through our evaluation coming up here in about 3 weeks. So thanks again, and here it is. I hope it's working. I don't know if the volume is on. There should be music.
Volume's on the best I got.
Is there, on here, is there something?
Yeah, let's put volume
On that?
Familiar with it. As I've continued using IB in the classroom, I've also loved the way that I'm thinking.
Thank you, sorry.
on. Take 2.
IB has impacted my teaching in many ways. One of the first things I noticed when we started the program was all of the common language we were using in the classrooms with risk takers and principals. And I noticed a big change since I'm a music teacher. I see the entire school. I loved the fact that I could use that terminology with all the students and they were familiar with it. As I've continued using IB in the classroom, I've also loved the way that I'm thinking globally a lot more now. I'm always trying to make that connection in my classroom. And another awesome impact has been that students are constantly saying, I want a connection to that. Oh, Mrs. Breeder, we did this in this classroom. Or when we were studying math, we talked about this. And they're constantly bringing those points up, and which I think is an awesome thing. So I've really enjoyed teaching it, and it's really impacted my classroom in a great way.
I'm Tim Connells, and I teach physical education. How IB has changed my teaching, it kind of naturally lends itself to what I do based upon the social, the physical, and the emotional aspect of the whole learner. I feel like it's really put an emphasis on it as far as all of our students go. I feel like they have more of an awareness of each other and an awareness of the world outside of them. I feel like the character aspect of it has really been pushed, and our students do a nice job with that. As far as my teaching goes inside my classroom, I feel like I've done a better job of making authentic connections in the classrooms and really pushing the attitudes that I think is
I'm Rachel Harding, the former IB coordinator here at Oxford Elementary and now 4th grade teacher. When I think about how IB has changed my teaching, I think the biggest part is the collaboration amongst the colleagues, especially with like the content, the skills. We work together on planning so much. It creates just a richer environment for the students to learn in. We have 6 teachers at each grade level, so when we meet and plan, we pull on everyone's expertise, and that is so drastically different than when I just taught, in my classroom by myself, and really met with other teachers to talk about what they were teaching and how they were teaching over the course of the few years that we've been becoming IB and an IB school. I would say that's a huge change. So that provides our students with a much richer experience. I also think the transdisciplinary nature of the IB program adds more flow to the day. In the IB, you try to connect everything, and I think it makes more sense for the kids that when they're learning about something in social studies or science content, it's also connected in a different way to maybe what they're doing with reading or writing. The way that we've planned out our curriculum really pulls and creates those ties so that it makes more sense in both the delivery as a teacher, but also as a student sitting in the classroom, they can say, oh, I'm learning about this, and I'm learning about this, and I can see a greater connection. I would also say my teaching has changed because I have more specific teaching strategies that have come through, either on-site IB training or when I've gone to IB training or through our amazing coordinator that, adds teaching strategies into our weekly or monthly meetings. The teaching strategies that I've done since becoming an IB teacher, I think have really impacted my students, as well as the assessment practices. So I would say that's another huge area that has been developed over the course of the last few years is our knowledge about assessment, both formative assessment, summative assessments. We didn't really have a lot of dialogue before IB about assessment other than trying to create like a grade level common assessment. But there's so much more now that I understand about assessment. And I would say the biggest thing out of everything is how it's transformed my students. They take ownership of their learning in ways that I don't think I've ever seen students do. They have decision making in some of the summative assessments and how they produce things and the group aspect of it and the dynamic of the cooperative learning that they have. I would say when you look at the students that I have, coming out of my classroom now versus 10 years ago, I would say they're much more independent thinkers, they're much stronger risk takers. So when you look at like those learning profiles and the IB attitudes, I think having students that can work in ways that are helping them prepare for, their future or exhibition or whatever it is, I think they are operating at such a higher level, both, academically and socially, that it's amazing to sit back and watch and, to have students that care about the world. I think above everything else, being able to see the change in my students has been the difference in being an IB school.
Thank you. So how has IB changed my teaching? I think at this point it's pretty hard to kind of reflect back and think how it's changed because it feels so ingrained into everything that we do now. I would say that still the biggest change for me is the fact that the kids have so much power in their learning. You don't feel as a teacher that you have to hold all the answers all the time, that it's okay that if you don't know, but as a class you're going to come together and you'll find an answer. So I think that for me has been the biggest change, just that release of the power and letting the kids have that and see the leadership grow with the kids.
IB has changed my teaching in so many ways. First off, I think it's great for the kids and their self-confidence. But as far as a teacher, the amount of collaboration that is allowed for us to really get together and plan and to really look at finding the best activities and lessons that will really allow us to hit the standards that are needed and to really enrich their learning just across grade level and also even vertically so that we have things that connect. I think that it is allowing us to really make sure that we're all on the same page and that we can work together.
I benefit a lot from the IB philosophy. Like in my class, students can think about themselves and think about the world in a deeper and insightful way. That's what I'm thinking, and especially, for example, when I'm teaching on Mid-Autumn Festival in China, the culture, and students can this is a festival that families getting together. And students will ask me, Miss Jen, do you miss your families? That really touched me because at that time I feel students can be that caring that we mentioned a lot in the class that we need to be caring. That's one of the learner profile. So I think that these philosophies of IB did enable students to have a mental lens to think about that and in the learning too.
Hi, my name is Jeff Brown. I have the great opportunity of being the principal of an IB authorized school since 2012. I'd like to tell you a little bit about how IB has impacted both me and how it's impacted our school. For me personally, IB has changed a lot about the way I think about learning. Over the years, I've watched kids learn a lot of basic facts. And one of the biggest shifts that I see happening in our classroom is the amount of time the students are spending learning to apply those basic facts into real-world situations and into their thinking. It's really been a fantastic change to observe. As a principal, one of the things that I'm most proud of are the types and the amount of action that our kids are taking. Throughout my career, I've been part of countless fundraisers. We've helped animals, we've helped poor people in countries that are far away from us, but they've always been very adult-driven, and sort of adults were the ones controlling what we were doing. One of the things that I'm just so proud of is we now have kids that are trying to take action on their own. And some of their actions are very basic. I had a group a couple years ago who found some bird eggs out on the playground and built a fence around them so that when the person that cut the lawns here wouldn't go over and kill the eggs. Small actions like that, to students that are writing letters to President Obama who are trying to do big, gigantic change. The part of it, though, that I'm the most proud of is it's not so much the action that the kids are taking right now, it's the fact that as they get older and they become more aware and get a bigger understanding of the world, they're learning that taking action is important. And I look forward to seeing 20 years from now the type of action that our students have taken. The next thing that I really want to touch base on today is exhibition. It has been a great school-wide event. It's been a tremendous process for our kids to learn and go through. But what I'm most proud of as a building principal is it's been a tremendous way for us to share the kids' learning with our outside of school community. It gives parents an opportunity to see what this IB thing is. We invite as many other community representatives to be part of the process as we can. I think it's become a great tool for us to show what our kids are capable of doing. The rigor and the challenge that this program has brought to all students has been tremendous. The authorization process itself, I think, is a very important part of being an IB school. It keeps us honest, it keeps us motivated, it keeps goals of what we need to do better right in front of us all the time. I think we have a lot of room to grow. I look forward to the opportunity to go through our reauthorization process in the next couple of months. But what I truly look forward to is the opportunity to learn from the authorization process about how we can do things better. I know that I've had an opportunity to listen to our teachers talk about this initiative, and they mentioned collaboration and countless other things. But what's been the most important piece to me is the fact that it's changing and it's challenging what our kids are being asked to do. Thank you.
So I just hope that gives you a better understanding of just our growth in the process, and it's really important to reflect. That's where a lot of the learning happens, and in our daily lives, and what we're learning here in school. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Thank you.
Okay, item 8, Board of Education matters.
I have one.
Okay.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to follow up and call the governor's office today on Senate Bill 571. And I guess I'd say as a board member and as a citizen, it's shocking where government is going with this type of legislation. And I would just say that I had an extended conversation with the person in the governor's office. They don't take your name when you call. I don't know where, my question was, where are you going with my concern? Yeah, I'll tell the governor. I go, well, you don't even know who I am. So I think it's dismissive of our state government to come up with a bill and I know it was presented, and we had an opportunity, everyone, to express a concern with it, and it was signed into law in spite of my being opposed to it. But
How dare they?
right. But I just think it's important to say that we need to be aware of these, and I know Tim sent us information earlier on it, and I've seen information in the Oxford Leader about it, and I guess on one hand, I felt that I don't know what one person can do in these kinds of cases, but if we don't become more active in the legislative process, I think these things are only going to continue to occur. And I guess what troubles me a little bit after talking with the people today, and they explained to me that there's an executive branch of our government that the governor does not make laws, but I asked, does he influence it? And they repeated that the governor does not make laws. And I go, okay, that's very political. But I think we need to be involved as much as possible on a local level so that we're more aware of how these things happen. It troubles me a little bit. I just caught parts of it as I was coming to the meeting that the governor said he didn't read the whole thing. They added 20 more pages in, I don't know, the last 10 hours or something. I guess it's just the way our government is going, and just, I guess, from my perspective, to just let everybody know as these things come forward in the future, let's try to do as much as we can to support it.
I didn't call, I sent an email on a link in one of the local, not the local paper, sorry Trevor, but on a link, and I sent an email, and it's frustrating to know that the original document was, I think it was 29 pages, and it ended up being almost 100 pages right before the break. And you know, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's the ability for school boards, elected officials to give a public comment about how they feel about the bond proposal or anything that's going on with the vote. That's in a nutshell, that's what it is. It also is the same for...
You cannot do it within 60 days of the vote anymore.
And that's the same for libraries.
It's 1 year in jail if you do it as a public official. And again, I guess as I'm recalling it, hearing the governor's office tell me as I asked to speak to their spokesperson and was not able to do that, but I did get another one. How they emphasize that the governor does not make the laws, that they are done by the legislature. And then tonight he was saying that he voted, he didn't read it all, but he told them as he signed it that they needed to clean it up by March. And I don't know what that means if the governor doesn't make the laws, if he can say, yes, then don't sign it, Governor. Don't sign it yet. Let him clean it up first and get a bill that you totally agree with. So, yeah.
All right. Moving on to number 9, curriculum and instruction. Mr. Weaver.
Hey. M-Step scores. Figure you'd want to know what they are.
So they handed them out right before that.
Yeah, they released them about a week before the Christmas break, the winter break. And then we sent out an email to parents and that, kind of our aggregate scores. Oh. So we sent out an email to our parents, kind of informing them of the aggregate scores. So we're going to go ahead and show them to you as well. Parent reports, the parents will be getting their child's M-Step scores, in about 2 weeks, I think, approximately. We'll be sending, all the schools are going to try to coordinate it and send it home approximately at the same time through the mail to get it home to them. The reports looked really nice, quite honestly. I thought they looked well done. These are our scores, where obviously where you see these NAs, they're not tested at that grade level. This is the Oxford average, the state average, and the county average. So this is all of our schools together. So if you see third grade, it's obviously all of our elementaries together in third grade. Now these are last year's, these are 14-15 scores. So as you can see, the state's plan to get the scores to us quicker has really paid off. That was a little tongue-in-cheek there. We still don't have the item analysis yet, so it's been very difficult doing a lot of things with school improvement. As the administrators know, I've been pretty frustrated with all of this. As you can see, I'm not going to read you the scores. I'll give you a few minutes to look at them, and then we've got a few charts and graphs for you to kind of look at. The only thing I would say, it's very hard to compare the MSTEP with previous MEP results. They will be doing a student growth percentile report, I think sometime within the next month or two. That student growth percentile report will have, will give you a little better feel as to where the child is if the child's progressing or not, or at least treading water where they're at. What they're going to do is say, like when you took the MEP score or the MEP test back in 13-14, they're going to give you a percentile as a student. Let's say you scored in the 50th percentile. Then they're going to take the MSTEP score, and that child will get another percentile score. And based on, let's say that the next time they took it and it was the MSTEP and they took it and they scored in the 55th percentile, then you can tell that child has progressed and has moved up 5 percentiles. It's judged against his or her peers. Okay. So as you can see the scores, we came in overall just below the county average. With them changing they set the bar quite high as far as the cut scores. And I didn't go into all of that or anything in this presentation. And if you do want me to address that, we can do that at a later date. These are just roughly the scores where we're at. A little bit below the county average, I would say overall. And we're going to go into that a little bit here in just a second. But that's the Oxford state and county averages. So you heard?
What sticks out to me is that we're below state average in 11th grade in most subjects.
Yeah, and that's, that is one of the things that did stick out to all of us as we looked at the results, that we were below the state average in the 11th grade. Not really sure, because this is a new test, what it means. We did test longer than most of the county schools in the fact that we did some of the optional performance assessment and that, because we thought they were going to be requiring that, is what we had heard and everything. Then they turned around, and of course now this year, after all the complaints by parents and administrators and teachers that the testing was too long, too intrusive, they've gone the exact opposite way, and they've cut that out and cut out quite a bit of the test, quite honestly. I think the high school test is about 8 hours shorter, I think, than it was last year. But yes, no, that is a cause for concern. We are looking at the high school, and the hard part is that as well as the MSTEP scores are below the county, the ACT scores are right around the county average, and so, but we're changing that over to the SAT. The high school's been doing a nice job this year, focusing on the SAT literacy part, really trying to work hard on that. We're really anxious to get back the item analysis to see what we can do. Plus, in the future, we're going to be having the PSAT in 9th and 10th grade, which will help us as well too. Before, they went 2 years without any results really to guide them, and then all of a sudden again they were taking it in 11th grade. So we're really looking to have those tools in our tool bag. Plus, we've had a lot of focuses, and we run a lot of programs up through the high school, and I think we're really getting to, between Illuminate, we had a really good PD today on Illuminate and some of the reports it can run, and really starting to move towards really concentrating on getting the test scores up.
I only see one area that, 11th grade, that we're below the state average. Am I looking at it wrong?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I see one.
Because I don't see
Remember
several,
child math, no, below county.
just one.
Below county.
Below county.
Yeah, we're below county and all, and then the state, I believe, we're pretty much above, I thought.
With the exception of the.
I thought you said county, I'm sorry.
But we're above the county, if I'm reading it correctly, we're above the county in almost everything, third through eighth.
Most things, yes. I think we're, the county average, we're kind of all over the board, quite honestly. Here, this might help you a little bit as we kind of move through. This kind of shows you where we're at in the graph. We are the red line. So as you can see, we're either at or above in most things, and then we kind of tail off. And really, quite honestly, with this being a new test, not having item analysis, we really don't know why this is such the fact at the 11th grade yet. We have got to really dive into the results, and we've got to get the item analysis back, kind of see all of this, and then figure it out and go to work.
Can you remind me again, like, how long did it be an Oxford school student for your score to count?
What is it? They changed the rules on that. It's basically a year. I think you have to be there for both count periods. I think it's like 2 out of the 3 or something like that now is what they figured out. It's basically a year. You have to be there the academic year, basically.
And when we obviously was the former Christine, is there a way to look at that 11th grade class when they were 10th graders and where they fell within the county and state? Because sometimes can't it just be kind of a...
Sometimes it's really because the scores actually, when you look at these, the percentages and stuff, and quite honestly, you got to look too as far as, because it looks like such a big drop off when you're looking at this. Really, your 8th grade scores have nothing to do with your 11th grade scores. So it's almost not, it helps the eye to see the scores as they go along, but it also kind of leads you to believe that there's some kind of connection and they're going down. But what you got to look at too is that the county and the state scores are down there as well too. And yes, scores from group to group will fluctuate 2 to 3, 4, 5 percentage points at times. And so you got to kind of look and see what they did over the past. I can do that, going back and looking, seeing at that trend to see where that class has scored before.
Because it would make sense if they've been behind in the past that...
Yes, they may be a group that has underperformed as they move through, but that's still incumbent upon us. I mean, I don't shirk any responsibility. We still have to work to try to get them off as much as we can.
Can you just step back just let me...
I'm sorry, yeah, it's like in a corner. It's not the best room, I think, for you. I'm kind of... I'll try to lose some weight.
11th grade, that's this year's senior group, correct?
Yes, these are 14, 15 scores, so they are now seniors. Okay? This is math. So make sure you check the heading out. This is where our math scores are at. Once again, Oxford's in, sorry Joyce, Oxford's in red. And as you can see, state and county, we do pretty well and above most of the way as we go. Here is our social studies scores, 5th, 8th, and 11th grade. And here are our science scores. Particularly pleased with our science scores, and quite honestly, we were a little bit, out of all the areas that we've been working on and everything else, this was probably the most surprising, because we probably as a group think our science scores are not as strong as they should be, but yet when it came out, they were actually quite higher than what we thought they would be. So we were very pleased with that.
Did we start teaching science?
Oh, we teach it all the way through.
Kindergarten?
Yep, all the way through. It just doesn't, in elementary, doesn't have, it sometimes, especially with all the emphasis in ELA and math, I think that's one of the unintended consequences of No Child Left Behind, was that a lot of times that science and social studies curriculum kind of got pushed. And it's kind of where the IB has been really, really good, because of the IB push with the science and social studies where it heavily is at. A lot of the unit planners focus really heavily around the science and social studies. It's kind of brought that back out as well too. So that was very nice to see, the bump in
And
science.
does
Yeah.
MSTEP give us the composite then on these scores, like, the ACT, they'll give you your math, your science, your reading, and then give you a composite score?
No, no, what you're looking at is percentage of pass proficient. Now, they do give you an average scaled score you can figure out. But quite honestly, yeah, and so it was really interesting. I did a lot of looking at the scaled scores for like between another school district and ours, and looking at things, and there was like 15, there was about a 15% gap between us and the amount proficient, 15 to 20%. But when you looked at the scaled score on a scale of, I think it was like 800, I forget what the MEP was, there was only 2 or 3 points scaled score difference between us. So when you're looking at this, there's a lot of, I don't want to call it games that you can play, but if you really, and that's where we've got to get better at things, is target those kids that are on that bubble and really identifying those, and that's where Illuminate will help us. And quite honestly, I think that's one of the areas that as a district, and I think the fellow administrators would say, we're a little bit behind on as far as targeting those kids that are on the bubble and kind of pushing them over. Because that's you could really do a lot with pushing those kids that are sitting there on that proficiency level. And there's a lot of discussions that go around with doing that and putting your resources towards that. And that's what we're trying to do and still move everybody along as well too, and also giving the kids that are at the bottom as well, making sure we got interventions for them as well. So we've really tried hard, and this year we've started to put in some interventions, so we're really excited about that. Here's like our rankings, where we're at as compared to the county, where we were with MEP and where we are with MSTEP. Did it by grade, ELA, and math. So if you look at this, really where they're at on the length of the bar, the longer the bar is not better. So what that basically means is that comparatively, did you see?
So we were 15, now we're 16.
Yeah. This is 4th grade. Fifth grade. So this one we went a little bit down, I guess you could say, but it's really hard because you're comparing 2 different cohorts and everything else, and they all vary just a little bit. And a few percentage points can make a big difference as to where your ranking is in the county as far as things go. This is 6th grade. So a little bit of improvement there as well. So even though, if you looked at our scores, we were close to the county average, there's 28 school districts in the county. And if you look at this, what happened where they set the cut score, you had a few districts have a large number of kids be proficient. And then you had the rest of us, there was like 22 districts that were closer to the county, what ended up being the county average, or just right around there. So it was really interesting as to where they set the performance expectations. They did set them quite high as they went through. Here is the 8th grade, yes?
Did they take the International Academy in that as well?
I believe so, yes.
I think their scores,
They go back to the,
Field Bills or Troy.
yeah.
So they're in that district in which they, not, the district in.
I believe they roll back into the,
Reside?
I believe they go all the way back to the.
Yeah.
The feeding school.
yeah. And here's the 11th grade comparison. And I just threw this in there just in case you were wondering as to the average ACT for the, I figured since I was presenting the other ones, you might have a question, so I thought you'd be ready. How it corresponds to this. It's really a mixed bag. I mean, it's too soon to really draw any conclusions from the MSTEP. It's, like I said, we don't even have the item analysis back. It's a new test. It's not the MEP. So it's really hard to kind of look and say, oh, we went down, we went up, or anything like that. That was just for your frame of reference, for you to kind of have a picture of where we're at. It's a long process. The state has to get a lot faster, a lot better at getting us results for us to do anything with. We're in the process of getting ready for the external review and for our school improvement and everything. And we should have had these scores 3 months ago. And so it's been very frustrating.
So Ken, for 2014-15, our composite score for grade 11, we're at the state average.
Now, one of the things I would, yes, and let me.
19.9.
where are you at? Okay, yes, over there. Yes, we're at the state average. Now, that is all schools in our district. That is the high school, OVA, Bridges, Crossroad kids that all took the ACT. So within those schools, there is going to be some variances a little bit here and there as far as their scores. But that is just to remind you, that is the entire district, not just the high school. Okay, any other questions? You want me to send you this? I will.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
And thank you for putting it all together. I really appreciate it.
No, actually, before I get off the stage, you should thank Mrs. Sean Marshall. She is.
Sean Marshall? Thank
Yes,
you.
she is.
Yeah.
She is awesome. If she watches this video, I want to make sure she watches all the way to the end. Sees me thank her. She's been fantastic.
Oh, that's very good. And I think this is something now, and I know things have changed in the testing, and I think this gives us an opportunity, obviously, for a baseline, and we can compare this information to next year's results, and that's where we will start to find where we're headed and if our strategies for improvement are working or where we need to do some more.
Yeah, that's I think really key is just we have to be a little bit patient as we kind of sort all this out as we kind of figure out where the state's going and what all this means. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, Finance and Operations, Mr. Barnum.
No items this evening.
Human Resources.
Nothing.
It's making this too easy. Student Services, Mrs. Sweet.
Nothing. It's quiet, human services.
Board Policy.
Nothing.
Number 14 is unscheduled audience participation. Okay. And Ms. Bono, scheduled activities. Would you like me to read them, or?
As presented, no. And please let me know if you're having any trouble with Google Docs. We'll be working on that tomorrow.
Any clarifications? None. Final board comments. Let's start with Mr. Stepp.
Excuse me. Thanks for the presentations tonight. That's very helpful, Ken, and finally we're getting the numbers in, and that's helpful. I appreciate the process that we went through tonight. I think it worked well for electing new officers. I commend all the board members to that. I wanted to bring up a point that somebody was going to make it here from my booster organization to talk about the water getting back to the back stand. So I'll bring it up, and I just wanted to just make sure that we're, as a school board, we're pushing forward, because if we get to next fall and we don't have water in that back stand, it'll crush our sales for concessions, because the county has given us a red light, no more services back there without permanent water. So I just want to make sure that we're staying on task with getting what we need to get done, so that we can help, because we have a fair amount of people lined up that are going to volunteer services to the school to do this project once it gets put together.
Mark, would that,
Pardon me?
would it affect your spring sales as well?
No, because the spring sales, whatever's out there, we typically run out of the front stand only, right at the gate.
Okay.
It's the football that we need to prepare for, and next season is the season that we bring the big games, like Orion comes here, Clarkston comes here, Romeo comes here, one more, and then homecoming. So it's a big year for concessions. Difference being just ballparking. This year, I want to say we were somewhere around 15,000. Last year, 50. Wow. That's the difference. So we need to be ready for that.
Mrs. Brazington.
No, nothing was today, thank you.
Well, I want to congratulate all the officers. I think you're going to do a great job, and I'm really looking forward to this year. The beginning of this year was a little bumpy with what we had going on, but I think it's all smoothed out. I think it's going to be smooth sailing. I'm really excited about it. So thank you for serving.
Mr. Schweig?
I too would like to thank every officer and Jim for taking his year as president. I think it was an extraordinary, challenging year to be a president, and I appreciate his willingness to serve in that position and keep us all together. And I'm looking forward to the officers that we have now to work together as we go forward in the current year and the officers that are here. Also like to, again, thank Ken and Sean for putting together that information. Always important to emphasize student achievement, and looking forward to seeing after this baseline the strategies that we can use and see how they work to improve our areas of student achievement, and then a little bit more of defining what areas we want to measure our student achievement. This is one of them, of course, the MSTEP, and maybe this is the only one we want. But if there are others that we want to look at as we go forward, I think we want to identify them beforehand and then see how we do on them as an assessment about not just improving our scores on tests, but what we're doing in education every day with the teachers and the IB program. We just need to assess how that is relating to student achievement. And again, not just on test scores, but if there's other areas we want to measure, let's get those in place too.
Mr. Reese?
Yes, it was good to see the teachers take on how IB is affecting their students, and the enthusiasm that they have and what they see the future holds as these students make it through the IB learning process and what effect they'll have on the world after they leave high school. It's good to see what the teachers think of that. That's all. Oh, and good luck.
Yeah?
I just would like to thank Jim. It was a rough year to be a board president, and you always joke about how you get heated, but your heat is always driven by passion for kids. And I just want you to know that that's something that's hard to find in a lot of people, so thank you. And Carol has been serving as vice president for how many years?
I'm gonna step down.
A lot, but thank you, because that's a huge commitment as well. It deserves recognition. And thanks to, I'll say to Sean Marshall via Ken. She is an awesome person and a great addition to your team.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can honestly say that I'm very humbled. You know, when Carol and I ran together, we didn't have anybody running against us, so we never really had any thought of what the process really looked like until you got on the board and then just kind of went, you kind of go through it and you kind of learn as you go. And I will say that Carol has always told me, remember that there are, I don't want to, I'm going to say that.
Carol's told me a lot of things. You've obviously
Yeah, don't tell her that.
I'm not going to tell her all Carol's secrets, but, you know, last year was a rough year, you know, as far as being board president. And, you know, Jen, you handled it very, very well. And, you know, I hope I don't have a lot of bumpy roads like that, but I'm going to roll with my team, as they say, and hopefully we do work as a team, because right now I think we're very, very well positioned as a district, but that all starts at this table. And we have to figure out a way to come to a consensus, even though we may not agree on everything. The more unified that we can be as the seven of us, the better Oxford will be. And that's what I'm hoping to bring, so that everybody can look and say, how did they do it? And it starts in the classroom with the kids, but it's this group that really sets the tone. So thank you, and Ken, as always, thank you for the numbers. I look forward to.
I'm sure they will.
I know they will. Mr. DeVon?
So just a couple of things in regards to Mark's comments on the water out at the maintenance building. We followed up from our last meeting. We went out and requested, I'll just say estimates from a few different architects. We've only received back some feedback from IDS. My perception is that, you know, we're not going to find a huge variance in cost. We're not talking about a $100 million bond project here. We're talking about running some water lines, and so, you know, we're talking thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars when it comes to architectural fees. And so really that's just the last piece of direction. We're, you know, I don't want to say it's nothing that the board has to vote on, but it was just something that I came to you with wanting direction. And so if you want me to continue to wait, I'll continue to wait. If you say, no, Tim, just let's go ahead and start moving on this. We've already started collecting estimates on different portions and all that kind of stuff, and we'll certainly bring those estimates back to you when we get to that point. But from a timing standpoint, that's really where we're at. That's what we need to do. So other than that, I hope everybody had a good break. I know that it came at a good time for everyone around here. We had been on the gas for quite a few months straight, and so the rest was welcomed, and we're ready to get back after it again and make 2016 the best yet. So that's it.
Adjourned.